Hey everybody, I am so excited because today I am here with my dear friend Laura.
Yay!
Woo! She is the owner of Dishwish, and I'm so excited because today we are talking about something that I feel is really intimidating to a lot of people, which is basically designing sort of the table for a big event, or in my case, my wedding.
Yay! So excited to be here. So we're just gonna go into what we were deciding for Claire's Tablescape.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about sort of what your approach to sort of the blank canvas of a table is. Like, what are some things for people to keep in mind, and tell me a little bit about your process.
Sure, well when I started getting into this, the really important thing was really to show a couple's or a person's sort of like energy and soul and personality in the tablescape rather than just putting something so sterile and buttoned up together. So the first question that I ask is usually, what do you want people to feel when they sit down at that table? What pieces of you do you want to come through? And that's usually like a very emotional question for people, and they kind of get excited about it, so.
I love that. Well, and I think too, for me, when we first started talking, and one of the reasons why I was so excited about collaborating with you is I love mix and matching. Because of like being a food stylist, I have all these single elements. I have like one awesome glass, one really cool plate. So when I have a dinner party, I kind of don't have a choice but to just mix everything together. And I wanted to kind of polish that a little bit, but still have that mix and match element there. And then also, everyone who watches the channel knows I'm obsessed with gold flatware. It's like a problem. I know, right? And so that was another thing I knew I wanted. And then I love pink depression glass. So it was really fun to sort of collaborate and figure out, you know, what exactly we wanted. But I know when we started, you asked me to send you some pins, like some visual references.
Sure.
So when someone sends you visual references, what are you looking for, and how do you sort of synthesize that information?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, a lot of my business is much like you said, like the mix and match. And some people that aren't as familiar with that feel that it's rustic. It's not rustic, it's really how I describe it, an unbuttoned elegance. So just like a warmth to it. Like, so by mixing it up, you're kind of giving it a family feel, like a warm, homey feel, if you will. Like when you said you have your dinner parties here, you kind of mix it up. So as far as the pins, you know, a lot of times you'll like portions of a pin rather than like the whole thing. And it's really kind of focusing and honing on what are the common threads through this. You know, it's not the flower stems, but it's like, is it loose, is it tight, is it, you know, is it monochromatic, is it bright? And in your case, it was very like just classic and really throw back to, I mean, obviously like you, like sort of those vintage touches, but in a modern way. Awesome. So yeah, I definitely saw that on your Pinterest board. Well, so mazel tov, very good job there.
Thank you. No, I'm so excited with what you came up with as well. So I guess once you like have the inspiration, how do you go about sort of finding the bits and pieces? How do you sort of bring it all together?
So we are always collecting stuff, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it. And really for each couple, we try to give them, especially for their head table, just something really spectacular that's really them. And even if you're budget conscious in your case, maybe not so much, but in a lot of cases, people don't want to pay for an entire 200-person wedding with mismatched dishes and flatware. So you can always just specialize on one table or not. But in your case, you kind of wanted to bring in a little pop of color, but keep it sort of simple with the whites and the blush tones, and obviously gold, because who doesn't love gold? But what do I look for? It's just kind of a piece that speaks to me, as corny as that sounds. You know, I find them all over, and it's a pretty big, daunting task sometimes, but there are days where I find a car full, and there are days where I find zero, so
is it like you do flea markets and thrift stores, or like what are the most unexpected places you find little treasures that you add to your collection?
So when I first started, I only did dishes and flatware and linens, and I would find them a lot of times online. So Craigslist or other local places, as far as online. When I started doing glasses, it's hard to find good ones online, I've found. So those ones you really do have to pound the pavement and do some flea markets and some local thrift stores and kind of, again, Craigslist. You can maybe find some people that are selling sets on there as well.
I love that. So we have in front sort of the core elements to my tablescape, but what exactly do you need to have a fully service-ready table?
I mean, it's kind of fluid. It's kind of whatever it is up to you. I mean, depends on how you're serving the meal. And if you want all the plates, most times people use our stuff, they want that impact when you walk into the space to see all this beautiful stuff. And yeah, if it's a plate of dinner, like those plates eventually do maybe go back to the kitchen. But yeah, you just want to create what's going to be somewhat practical but also artistic.
Yeah.
For your wedding, we knew we wanted 2 plates on the table.
Yes.
Because we weren't going to do a bread plate, and then the dessert plate would be, with the dessert later on in the evening.
Exactly.
And then for glassware, you're going to be serving wine, and of course champagne, beautiful champagne, and water as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so by adding in some of these clear, like I love, look at the detail on that.
Oh my
etching.
gosh. It's so
and it
beautiful.
just adds so much, especially with the light, the soft lighting of the sunset. And you'll be able to, by mixing in the clear. Now with glassware, you want to look for heights. I'm very particular about that. You're almost kind of creating like a little trifecta.
Yeah.
And so playing, especially with vintage glasses, proportion is really important. So you want to look, because all glassware is sort of different heights, and the width of them is different.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a puzzle. So by piecing together ones that the heights sort of match in the proportions, you get that sort of 3-level height. So it kind of, from overheads or on the angle, when you're looking through the whole tablescape, it really gives you some dimension and
I
depth.
love that. No, it makes it for something very dynamic. And it's funny, but weddings large events, they're usually photographed or covered in some way.
Sure.
And you want them to look beautiful, and so you can remember them as being really beautiful. And details like this are so important.
So with the glassware, I think that's a good combination for you.
I love it because the pink is just a touch. It's not overwhelming. It won't feel girly.
Yeah.
Because if it was a bridal shower, then sure.
Yeah,
Like
just a little
all
sprinkle
pink.
of blush.
But it's nice to have it sprinkled throughout, and especially with candlelight.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it'll be really pretty. But then this brings us to the plates, and I'm obsessed with this pattern. I cannot believe you found this.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a serendipitous thing. I have a favorite thrift store, which I would tell all of you, but then maybe it wouldn't be my favorite thrift store anymore. So I have a favorite shop that I like to go to locally, and I guess I describe it, it's more of like a Miss Havisham sort of like antique store. You have to like climb and dig and stuff. But I saw a big set of these, and I don't know, they just sort of spoke to me, and we had been sort of talking, but I hadn't gotten imagery yet from Claire as to what she wanted. And then I just I picked them up, and then 3 or 4 days later, she emailed me this picture. She's like, I don't know why, but I'm kind of like digging this pattern, and it was the same dish. So I'm like, oh,
You're
chills.
like, oh
so
my God.
I'm like, it was totally meant to be. But when we were layering them, we just felt like it was too heavy.
It's a little fussy looking.
Yeah, like too contrived. Again, back to, sort of mixing it up and making it feel warm. So
Boom.
by adding another layer plate, you just see the pop of blue rather than the too much of the blue.
Exactly. And I'm not doing a bread plate, but if you were to, you could do something like this and then do the white on top. And all of a sudden, it's like you spread this throughout, and it just means that the blue becomes sort of an accent rather than sort of an overwhelming theme.
Sure, yeah. Or it's like blue is the prominent color, yeah.
Exactly. I love this. And then we have the flatware, and we both collect vintage flatware, and I have like a salad fork, a dinner fork, a knife, and then basically a large spoon and a small spoon, like small spoons for coffee, large spoons for, I'm serving lots of pasta.
Yay.
So that'll be fun, hey. But I mean, is this kind of this is just like the classic setup, right? It's like Pretty Woman. You go from like what you eat first and then go inward.
Absolutely, and people are mixing up sort of the styles of how the table is set, and I think that's great. Oftentimes though, I think if you don't make it look like you really meant to do that, it kind of looks improper.
Yeah.
So if you're going to set the table differently, make sure you really change it up, and so it looks like you were just
Purposeful.
artistic. Yeah, purposeful, exactly.
Yeah. But thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it was a pleasure.
This was
Yes,
so much
thank you. I
fun.
can't wait to see it all come together.
No, this is great, and I loved all your tips about adding dimension and how to mix and match properly. And guys, make sure to check out Laura on Dishwish. Your Instagram is so much fun.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. I love seeing all of her beautiful adventures. She's always doing the funnest events. So much inspiration. But I'll have all of her information in the details below. But otherwise, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure.
And I'll talk to you guys later.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.